Good morning, students. In this lecture 50th of electronics, we will discuss the working or operation of the transistor in active mode. Means when first junction, that is emitter base junction, it is forward biased, and second junction, that is J2, collector base junction, that is reverse biased. In case of NPN transistor as well in case of PNP transistor. So first we will discuss this, that we have already discussed this, but now we will study this in tabular form. So what are the possibilities of these two junctions J1, J2 in case of a transistor? What is the condition or the possibility of biasing? And the possibilities of the biasing in case of these two junctions of transistor are, in first case, suppose J1, that is emitter base junction, it is forward biased, and the junction J2, which is collector base junction, it is reverse biased. We have already studied this. Then it is said that transistor works in the active region. The region when J1 is forward biased, J2 is reverse biased, it is known as active region. So the region known is active region, and at that time transistor works as an amplifier. So there will be amplification of the signal when J1 is forward biased and J2 is reverse biased. We can see how. So if the transistor mostly the transistor is used in active region. Active region transistors are used mostly. So if the transistor is working in or operating in active region, then we know that J1 is, which is emitter base junction, it is forward biased, and J2, which is collector base junction, it is reverse biased. And in ideal case, if this J1 junction is forward biased, then it will offer zero resistance, and practically it will offer low resistance when it is forward biased. And ideally when this junction J2 is reverse biased, it will offer infinite resistance to the flow of carriers, majority carriers. And if taken practically, it will offer high resistance when it is reverse biased. So this junction J1, it will offer zero or low resistance, zero in ideal case and low resistance in practical case. And this reverse biased junction J2, it will offer either infinite resistance in ideal case or high resistance in practical cases. This means, and same current will flow throughout the whole circuit. It means same I will flow through this J1 and same I will flow through this J2. Means same current will flow through low resistance and same current will flow through high resistance. So how we can say that at that time transistor will work as an amplifier? You can see, suppose this is the current I which is flowing through the input circuit, and input circuit or input junction, that is J1, as it is forward biased, so it will offer low resistance, and suppose that low resistance is small r, and then this same current, it is being transferred to the output section, or the current through section J1, it is transferred to the current through section J2, and same current I, it is flowing through the output section, and the junction J2, as it is reverse biased, so it will offer high resistance, and suppose that high resistance is capital R. Here this capital R, it is greater than small r. I is same. So what will be the voltage? Voltage drop across this low resistance and voltage drop across this high resistance. So Vi will be I into small r, and here output V0 will be I into capital R. I is same, so as this R is small, this implies Vi is smaller than V0. It means this was the weak signal and this is a strong signal. This implies amplification occurs when transistor works in the active region. Implies amplification occurs when transistor works in active region. So now it is clear that we will use transistor in active mode when we need transistor as an amplifier. So next possibilities are when J1 is forward biased as well as J2 junction is also forward biased. When both the junctions they are forward biased, at that time the region in which this transistor will operate, it is known as saturation region. It means maximum current will flow. So transistor will work as closed switch. At that time, transistor will work as switch, closed switch. It is also known as logical on in case of digital electronics. And similarly, when both junctions R1, J1 and J2, they are reverse biased, at that time no current will flow. So it is known as this region of operation, it is known as cut-off region. At that time transistor will operate in cut-off region, and as there is no current, both the junctions are reverse biased, so circuit is said to be open. So at that time it will act as open switch or logical off in case of digital electronics. And in the last case which we have already discussed, that when we reverse this biasing, that is when we make emitter base junction reverse bias and second junction as forward biased, then the function of emitter and collector, it will be reversed, and that is why this region of operation of transistor is known as reverse active region. And at that time, how it will work? It will work exactly opposite to that of active region, and the gain in this region is very small. That is why it is not used. So now we will discuss the operation of NPN transistor. It is also known as action of NPN transistor or working of NPN transistor. So first we have NPN transistor. For the working or action or operation of NPN transistor, first draw the block diagram of NPN transistor. This we have N-type emitter, this is P-type base, and this is again N-type collector. So this is emitter, this one is base, and this one is collector. And initially we have not provided any external biasing to both of these junctions. This is junction J1 and this one is junction J2. And as the emitter, it is N-type and it is heavily doped. As we have already discussed in our previous video, it is heavily doped. It means it will contain large amount of electrons in it as a majority carriers. So it will contain large amount of electrons in it as the majority carriers. And this p-type is a base, and we know that it is lightly doped. Lightly doped means there will be majority carriers, holes will be the majority carriers in base, but as it is lightly doped as compared to this emitter, so number of majority carriers holes, it will be very small in amount as compared to this heavily doped emitter. So the holes are there as a majority carriers, but as base is lightly doped, so these holes, they will be small in number. And again we have n-type collector, and we know that in the previous video we have studied this is moderately doped, means amount of doping in the case of collector, it is greater than base but smaller than emitter. So in this case we have majority carrier electrons, but their number will be smaller than the number of majority carriers in case of emitter. And now we want to operate this NPN transistor in active mode. So in active mode, we know that junction J1, that is emitter base junction, it is forward biased. Emitter base junction is forward biased, and junction J2, which is collector base junction, is reverse biased. And we know that, so apply biasing. This junction J1, it is forward biased, so we have this p-type base. So p-type base will be forward biased when it will be connected to the positive terminal of the battery. And this n-type emitter, it will be forward biased when it will be connected to the negative terminal of the battery. And this is known as VEB. This potential, this biasing potential which we have applied at junction J1, it is known as emitter base potential, VEB. Similarly, in active mode, this junction J2, it is reverse biased. So to reverse bias this p-type base, we will connect it to the negative of the battery. Similarly, this n-type collector, to reverse bias this, we will connect it to the positive terminal of the battery. And as this biasing potential, it is taken across collector and base, so that is why it is known as collector bias potential. Now we know that even when there is no biasing applied here, means when we haven't applied this external voltage here, or you can say that when we haven't forward biased this junction J1 and when we haven't reverse biased this junction J2, at that time here we have open circuit, and we know that even then there is potential barrier between any junction. So there will be potential barrier across this junction J1 and across this junction J2, and suppose that potential barrier is equal to VB. So in the absence of biasing, suppose VB is the barrier potential, across junction J2 across junction J2, J1 and J2. And now we know that the potential barrier or the height of the potential barrier, it gets reduced when the junction is forward biased and it gets raised when it is reverse biased. So this means in the case of junction J1, potential barrier will be reduced, and in case of junction J2, potential barrier will increase or potential barrier will be raised. So we will see how. So suppose this one is junction J1, this is junction J1, and suppose this one is junction J2. This is base. On this side we are measuring potential barrier or potential. This is base, this is emitter, this is collector. And in the absence of biasing, what is the height of potential barrier across the two junctions? It is same, VB across J1 and VB across J2. So it will be this is VB across J1 and VB across J2. And when this junction J1, it is forward biased, we know that in case of forward biased junction, the height of potential barrier is reduced. So after applied forward biasing, the new potential barrier, suppose it is this. And what will be its value? It was VB, and as it is reduced by how much voltage you have applied here? It means it will be VB minus VEB. And similarly, on this side, on the case of junction J2, it is reverse biased, so height of potential barrier will increase. And the new potential barrier after reverse biasing, it will be VB plus VCB. The voltage, how much reverse bias voltage you have applied across J2. So now what will happen after we have provided or applied biasing across J1 and J2? As we have just discussed that across J1, as the potential barrier VB, it is reduced. Now this junction, it will provide low resistance to the flow of majority carriers. So that is why the majority carrier electrons, as they are suffering repulsions from this negative terminal. So because of this negative terminal, the majority carrier electrons, they are moving towards the junction J1. And now as the potential barrier is reduced, so they will cross this junction and they will enter into the base, and inside the base they will recombine with these holes. So these electrons, they will move towards the junction because of this negative terminal of the forward biasing, because they will suffer repulsion. So they will cross the junction because now the potential barrier is reduced because of the forward biasing at junction J1, and they will enter into the base, that is p-type, and there they will recombine with these holes. But this base, it is lightly doped, and the number of electrons which are entering from this emitter to base, they are very large in number. But number of holes here, they are small as compared to the number of electrons. So only a few electrons, they will recombine with holes here. Why? Because this base region is very thin and it is lightly doped. So what will happen to the remaining electrons? because they have very high velocity and kinetic energy. So what they will do, they will diffuse through the base and enter into the collector region. Why? Because they are suffering attraction from this positive terminal. From this positive terminal of the reverse biasing, which we have applied at the junction J2. So remaining electrons, they will enter the collector region and they will start drifting across this collector, and there they will be attracted by this positive electrode of the collector. So out of 100% electrons emitted by the emitter, only 2 to 5% recombine inside the base, and remaining 95% they will enter the collector region. It means the collector current, it is smaller than the emitter current. But as this amount of base current, it is very small, so you can take that this collector current, it is smaller than emitter current, but the gap or the difference is very small. Or you can say that this emitter current and this collector current, it is of the order of milliampere, and this base current is of the order of microamperes, because it is very small because of the lightly doped base and very thin region base. So now this is the theory which I have already told you. You can read this. Each and everything which I have told you about transistor or the operation of the transistor. This again I have already told you, and this will be used for finding the final expression of collector current. So this is, as large number of electrons they are entering from emitter to the base. So suppose that capital N be the number of electrons which are entering from the emitter to the base, then we know that also there is 95% of the electrons which enter into the collector region because of the lightly doped base region. So suppose alpha n is the fraction of electrons which enter into the collector region. Then what will be the number of electrons recombine with the holes in the base region? It will be n minus alpha n, means it will be n into 1 minus alpha. So these are the number of electrons which will recombine with the holes inside the base. So this is almost 2 to 5% of this 100%, and this alpha n is the 95% of this total. So now we will discuss about, we have already studied everything about junction J1, which is emitter base junction, and now we will discuss about junction J2, which is reverse biased. As junction J2, which is collector base junction, is reverse biased, and we know that in a reverse biased junction, majority carriers, they can't cross the junction, but minority carriers can cross the junction, and because of which there will be reverse saturation current which will flow through the junction, collector base junction. So because of this reverse biased junction, there will be reverse saturation current flowing through this junction J2. And what does this mean? It means minority carriers from collector, which are holes, they will diffuse to the base, and minority carriers electrons from the base, they will diffuse into the collector. It means minority carriers are crossing the junction J2 because of its reverse bias applied voltage. And these minority carriers, they will result in the leakage current, which is known as reverse saturation current, and it is represented by ICO. So it is represented by ICO. Why they have used this C? Because It is connected to the collector because we are calculating collector current. So that is why C. And why this O? Because this leakage current, it can be calculated only when the emitter base junction, that is forward bias, that is J1, if we kept it open. So only when this emitter base junction it is kept open, only then this leakage current can be calculated. So what will be the total value of collector current? It will be because of the electrons coming from emitter. And what are the number of electrons coming from emitter enter into the collector? It is alpha into N. What is N? N are the number of electrons coming from emitter. So that will give us the emitter current. So that is why alpha N means what will be the current? Alpha IE. So collector current IE is the emitter current. So what will be the collector current? It will be alpha IE plus, because of the junction J2, there will be reverse saturation current, leakage current, which is ICO. So this is the total expression for collector current. Then what will be the relation between emitter current, base current and collector current? For that, I am drawing it again for you. Here we know that in case of emitter, electrons are moving from emitter to base. It means electrons are moving from left to right. And the direction of conventional current, it is opposite to the direction of electrons. So the direction of conventional current will be from right to left. So the direction of emitter current will be this. Similarly, in case of base, it is p-type, and after the recombination of electrons and the holes, and how that recombination occurs, the electrons which enter into the base, they are attracted by this positive terminal of VEB. It means here the electrons are moving in this direction, and if the electrons are moving in this direction, so what will be the direction of base current, that is conventional current? It will be opposite to the flow of electrons. Similarly, in case of collector, electrons are moving from this because they are attracted by this positive terminal of VCB. So electrons are moving from left to right. It means collector current will be inward, that is conventional current, opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So now apply Kirchhoff's current law, which is the sum of currents entering, it is equal to the sum of currents leaving. So here the currents entering are IB and IC. So IB plus IC, it is equal to the current which is leaving, that is IE. So the relation between IB, IC, IE is equal to IB plus IC. So this is all about action of NPN transistor.